Indeed, I am. I am live. A little hot and sweaty. I hope if you were here early or on time and late for me that you enjoyed the shot of the peanuts and the cameras running all around and all that good stuff. It's just, always something. Keeps it entertaining, exciting, challenging, all that good stuff. I've been trying to improve my chroma key green screen, and I'm looking over there and I see that little shadow in over my left shoulder by the flag there. It is Memorial Day, and we definitely don't want to lose the flag. And it comes and goes because of shadows. It's a lot to learn. Depends on where I stand and what happens as I move, and what little knob I turn over here as to whether that goes away or not. All those good things. So if that's not too distracting, I will continue to work through that forever. Boy, I do look sweaty because it is hot and sticky. But good morning. I am Bradley McAllister. This is Monday Methods. We're off to a roaring start today. We're going to have fun. We're going to make a jar. Are we going to make a cookie jar? We're going to make a candy jar? We're going to make a licorice jar? Or are we just going to make a jar? Don't really know. Doesn't really matter what you call it. I was poking through some different images of jars over the centuries, way back, and looking at different ideas. So I had this great idea, like many great ideas that I have, and there's always some little thing that gets in the way. So I have this block of wood that we're going to use today. I'm going to say it's sycamore by taking a quick look at it. Now, I did not get a chance to cut it round on the bandsaw because my bandsaw is not big enough for that, and the handle wasn't on it to cut the corners off. But we'll just have to hack at that a little bit more. Let me get this big old marker out of my pocket. But that's not the piece of wood that I had intended to use or wanted to use. Hello, Maria. Nice to see you. Here's the piece of wood that I wanted to use. Okay? It was going to be much larger in diameter. And of course, when I ran over to the other shop to run it through the bandsaw, it's an old Sears Craftsman, I think it's a 113 model. And of course, this just doesn't fit under the throat. So there is a bigger bandsaw in the future, because I keep doing this to myself. I've done it numerous times. I had this great piece of wood. I want to do this bigger size project. And last minute, because I'm always thinking about like green screens having shadows that I see again and stuff like that. And last minute I run over to cut a piece of wood on the bandsaw, and I realize it's not the one up in North Georgia where my dad is. If he's in here today, where the shop where I normally cut all the wood, there's a much bigger bandsaw up there. And I keep thinking in my mind that I got this big bandsaw. And it's just not here in Metter. So much for that, and so much for getting it cut round, which means we're going to have to do a little extra work, but that's not the end of the world. I'm not afraid of the work. It makes it a little bit more boring maybe for you to watch me make chips till I get this guy round, because it's not anywhere close. It's not even square, it's rectangular. But again, that's part of it. We all have to do it if we don't have access to things. But one thing I wanted to talk about is what I want to do with this for coloring. Because if you saw the description for today, I want to use the Chromacraft metallic paints, the metal reactive paints, to give it a finish looking like an old metal can or jar, if you will. And I will just probably get, at best, the primer coat on it, because it takes a little while to do it all. How do I store my wood to seal those blanks? I'll tell you in just a second, Anthony. So this is the finish that is going to be on the piece. Eventually, it may be iron looking like this. And, of course, I have a green screen chroma key, and, of course, I grabbed green pieces. So I'm learning about my green screen idea. This one will look probably really weird. Who knows what it'll do in there. This is copper, patinaed copper. I mean, it's a great look. So that's what I want to put on this piece eventually. Obviously, we won't see all these colors today because it takes days to get this there. But that's where we're headed with this project, and I'll be putting pictures up as I do get the finish on it as we go forward. So let me put this back down here. The first thing I need to do is going to be to mount this. Now, Anthony asked me, how do I store my wood to seal those large blanks? It's been sealed, I think, in Anchor Seal, which is a greenwood sealer. I put 2 coats on with an airlift sprayer. Makes it really quick and easy and fast. I buy it 5 gallons at a time. It's just much more efficient that way. Set up a big set of racks, put the big blanks out, and seal them. Now here's the problem that I'm running into with almost all of these blanks, and it's time to take this watch off. The problem I'm running into is that, especially with the Sycamore had a lot of water in it when it was green. And I sealed it with 2 heavy coats. Well, that's been 3 solid years ago. And the Sycamore has dried so much, even with the sealer on it, it has split a little bit. And this has been stored indoors the entire time since it was cut and sealed. It's either been under the roof up in North Georgia or in one of the warehouses here. I have one warehouse here for strictly wood. But it still has split and checked on the ends, which is unfortunate. So I learned a lesson quite a number of years ago now, not to get ahead on wood. If I have too much wood that I don't process at least to a certain point, I end up losing some of the wood, some of the quality of the wood I get, the splits and the checks. So out behind this building, behind the studio here, is a whole pile of wood that already is over the edge and split, checked, and cracked. And so I'm letting it really age and basically get all spalted and punky, and the funguses grow in it. And then that wood I will bring in and stabilize. So it's already beyond being able to turn as it is. That'll be wood for stabilizing projects. And then we'll have all kinds of great colors and patterns in it. And the resin replaces all the soft, punky wood, and it makes it turnable again. And I had a piece laying around here, and I see it right here. And I just moved the light, so I'll probably get another goofy shadow. This is a piece that was all rotten and nasty. And let me switch cameras here for you. It looks really good in the end view. So this piece was so soft and punky that literally you could take pieces out of it with your hand. And so what I did is I just rough turned it just enough to give it the basic shape so that I wasn't stabilizing the entire block of wood. So I made it down to, say, find my right place here, maybe 1.5 inches thick when I first stabilized this, and stabilized it in the stabilizing chamber, and then returned it. And the pink you see in it is me trying to come up with my own way of dyeing the wood. And let me go show you this in the overhead as well. So all my wood that has gone over the top, this is what I'm going to do with it, is stabilize it and turn it into these fun pieces. I mean, it's a wonderful piece of wood, and now it's solid as a rock. Okay, so the seal, Anthony, the short answer of all that again to recap is I seal it in a greenwood sealer, store it out of the weather, and hope I get to it in time. Now this Sycamore, when I purchased it, I bought a 40-foot log that was 36 inches in diameter at the big end, at 18 inches at the small end, and 40 feet long, and weighed 6,300 pounds. And I've been trying to get through it for at least 3 years now, and I'm still trying to get through it. So because this is not even close to round, it's going to take a little work to get the corners off it. Now this is laid out, I'm 99% sure looking at it, in the end grain fashion. I do believe, it sure looks like it. I'm going to go with that. So this will basically be an end grain piece and turn like a spindle, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and mount this on a faceplate today. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And I have a little knot right here. Show you in the overhead. Got a little knot right there that I need to be aware of. Now that's probably going to get turned away. The piece is longer than I need, but by the time I make a base and whatever the lid is going to be for it, then that it'll probably all get used up, and I'll just cut off what I don't want. All right. I really wish it had been again that bigger piece, but that's what we get sometimes. And let me double check here that everything is working while I'm stepped away real quick. All right. Let's see. Let's mount this guy up. And I don't know if that might be too much. I think we'll go to the end camera so you don't have to see it up so close. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this guy in here because it's going to be a rough deal. So putting the faceplate on this end where this knot is, this is going to get turned away to make a 3.5-inch tenon, so that probably will take that knot out of the equation. Good morning, Arthur. Glad you could join us. Is it safe to assume, Mr. Miller, that you are on your phone again today? I'm going to send you an old computer pretty soon if you keep showing up on your phone, buddy. I hope you're doing well up there. You're not at the beach, or do you live on the beach, Mr. Arthur? So these are square drive SPAC screws. They're number 10. These are 1 inch long. That's what I had in here. A number 10 is much preferable to a number 8. Don't ever use your drywall screws to mount your face plates. See, talking about the light and the green fuzz and all, while I'm putting these screws in, I've been obviously working on the green screen chroma key concept, so you see the background there of the wooden wall, and I can put anything back there. I can run videos back there, so on and so forth. But there is an issue of lighting, and it just takes time to get it all dialed in. And I'm in a pretty small building, about 14 by 16 for the film studio. And I'm still on the learning curve of getting there. I'm always on a learning curve of getting somewhere with what I do, and that's okay. Because I love to learn. And as our little motto says, knowledge is our greatest tool. Speaking of tools, I did not get a chance to sharpen anything. Had a request from the other day to get the grinder, the sharpening system in place where I can flip a camera onto it so where you can see it. And that is in the works. I thought I could wing it up real quick this morning and just didn't quite work. And I was already running late, so it's over there out of the way. But I do promise to get the sharpening systems, and I have 2 of them. I have an 8-inch slow-speed grinder with CBN wheels on it, and I have the Sorby Pro Edge sharpening system as well. So I want to get both of them set up in one place, and I'll dedicate a camera. I've got another camera. I just got to figure out where I can make it all work in here. And I will have the sharpening station, if you will, on a camera so that when I do go to sharpen something, at some point, and hopefully the near future, I'm not going to make you a promise because I know I get in trouble if I start saying things are going to happen yesterday because I just don't seem to get there. Now looking at this, I am going to adjust everything before I even get started because it's not in the center of the overhead, and it's longer, and I may have to end up zooming the overhead camera back out just a little bit. I try and get you the most, and if I can get the whole piece of wood in here, and I think I can, actually. There we go. You're not seeing what I'm seeing, but so now the chunk of wood is now centered, okay? And as it gets a little bit smaller, that'll be all good. I want you to be as close in as possible on what's going on. So I just move the whole headstock and tailstock all as one unit when I do that. Jerry, how you doing, buddy? I was thinking of you when I put the flag up this morning. Those of you who have served, it's Memorial Day. We do appreciate everybody who has served and paid that ultimate price, that ultimate sacrifice. We honor them today. And I wanted to be sure I had that flag up there for everybody. Okay, so this is going to be messy. And I'm going to walk over here and see if I can't get rid of that shadow. As soon as I move over here, it'll change just because the way the lights change. But I will keep trying to chase that for you today, as I know it's annoying. And I will one day get it figured out. Looks like the sound. Tell me, everybody, the sound is okay. It looks like it's good. Steve says, I like how you move the large to the camera as opposed to the camera to the lathe. Yeah, that's so Canadian. Yeah, I try not to move the cameras any more than I have to. If you happen to come in here early or when I was supposed to be here but I was late, I didn't know that I turned on the stream, and over on the restreaming platform that multiplies it out, that was supposed to have all the channels switched off. And I thought they were switched off from the other day. And apparently they were all, no, not apparently, they were all on. So I was wiggling cameras, and my can of peanuts that I was focusing on were all here and all that good stuff. Arthur, you're gone? You're leaving already? No green anymore. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure it'll come back. But we'll take that for what it is at the moment. It's like I say, it's a work in progress. So I'm going to use, I know it's going to be messy and clunky, but I'm going to use the spindle roughing gouge, and I have the Carter & Son 1.25" spindle roughing gouge set up here. And that's what I'm going to just get in here and take these corners off with, just to get going. And it's going to be a bunky, clunky kind of gig. I am going to run over to the grinder really quick because it has been used and it's not fresh. So let me give you a beautiful shot of that piece of wood while I run over here and sharpen this. Now I promise, just like I was saying, I will get this set up to where you can see when sharpening is going on. As they say, all good things come in time. This one will only take a second. Of course, there's barely room for me to stand between this and a monitor right now. This little room is quite full. I don't know what happened to the corner on this. It was all chipped up. Just has a hard life. I am pretty hard on my tools, I do have to admit. Especially when I'm on the road, they have a really hard life. All right. So let's see. We'll set that down up front here. We haven't set a speed yet on this guy. And my controller's hiding underneath here, I believe, from yesterday or the other day. Oh, yeah, Jerry, isn't that, I mean, that gouge is just, and I'm not a spindle turner, but it's been a fantastic gouge for me to get better with. So let's see what kind of speed we can get here today to get started on this guy. If it's going to walk across the room or if we can get it to cooperate. It shook pretty bad there, about 300, but at about 500, it's just got a, I'll call it a minor vibration in my world. The lathe is shaking, but not badly. If I put you on the end camera, you can see the amount. I've got a little rattle, but I'm going to live with that because as this piece gets more and more round, you can't see the end camera close right now. We should be okay. All right. So this is going to be kind of a mess. And I'm not a speedball at this. I'll be the first to admit. So we'll go overhead. Put on my mask. Get myself set up for action. I would be happier if it was at least square, but it's not. And that's just what I've got. I'm going to raise this up a little higher. Okay. And I am honestly going to come in here a little easy just to make sure everything's all good. I don't want things to go crazy on me. I'll make sure everything's locked down, everything's good and secure. We don't want any issues. Hopefully this won't take too terribly long. Again, with this big a piece of wood that's got this much corner, I'm not going to get just all crazy fast on it. I've just got the tool down low, locked into my body. I do have a short handle on here. I've got a 16, I say a 16, I'd actually like a bigger handle on this, to be quite honest. They have a 20-inch handle now, and for something like this, I wouldn't mind having a 20-inch handle. I need to get a hold of one. Okay, let's stop and move on down to the other end. We've got a little bit of, you can see how much we're taking off of here, and then virtually nothing off of this corner. So that's how far out of whack we are for the start. But as we know, that'll come around real quick, and it'll be all good. I'm planning, now I got a breeze on me. I was a little hot and stressy there getting going, you know. But I got the fan blowing on me, and I'm looking forward to this project. So I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling good. Some days, you know, you're not quite so on. You don't have the right mindset, and just anything you do seems to not be fun. But this, I'm already having fun, and I'm thinking about the shape that I'm gonna do. Like I said, I had several different shapes in mind, so I'll just have to see what we've got when we get in here. If anybody's wondering why I'm only going from left to right, where's my hand? From left over here over to the right, is because all the computers and the switcher are all over there, over that way, and I don't want anything heading over there. Let me move in a little bit closer on this again. It's hard enough for the computers out here to live in this life. I blow them out all the time, but I know they're still sucking dust into them. I cleaned out the air conditioner filter this morning. I said, oh yeah, I hadn't cleaned that thing out since I put the air conditioner in here, and it's much more thankful now. I think we get this end down to the rest of it. We'll go for a little more speed if we can get it. You can probably just barely see the tool coming into play now. But again, I didn't want to be chasing that camera because by the time I get here, it will all be in view. We'll try that. That's up around 750. It's got a little knock in it. I'm not sure where it's at, but we'll see if we can't make that go away pretty quick. I'm going to move it in and up just a tick more now. This is sycamore. It is pretty sycamore. You'll probably get mad at me for wanting to put metallic paint on it if it's real pretty, but that's just the way it goes. Hello, Brian. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm kind of just getting started after a typical bumpy start, but I'm having fun. Hope you're having a good day. This piece wouldn't fit in my bandsaw, so we're going about it old school. Like I was saying earlier, it's obviously way too long for just a jar. And it's going to get hollowed out and all that, so I have to keep that all in mind. It does have some splits in here. We'll see what happens with that. Would I say that the spindle gouge roughing gouge is more efficient at roughing than a large dimension better than conventional gouge, and is more or less vibration fatigue on the arm? Yes, I would say so. Now the thing that you run into there, that I run into, is oftentimes I'll make something cylindrical that's not end grain, and I've got face grain coming at me, so I can't use the spindle roughing gouge then. And I have to use the bowl gouge. So we got some ambrosia in this as well. We're getting close to getting down to getting rid of the flat. Let me double check that is. I'm going to lock that spindle down for a second, make sure that, yeah, that's good and tight. I don't want it unbearably tight there. Knowing me, I'm about to knock the bearing out of this lathe. Now I'm not going to worry about making this thing perfect, because I also know that I'm going to be shaping it and contouring it. Now, what shape am I going to make? I don't know, but I'm not worried about it being a little rough here and there. I'm more worried about some of these splits that I'm seeing. And what I'll do is once we get close, we're going to part off part of this, and this we'll make leave out for our cap up top, our lid, whatever that's going to be. I do not have a design in mind, but one will come to me. Okay, that's getting real close. Everything's showing that. Unfortunately, this split is running the whole length of this guy. So we'll just have to deal with. I do have some cool stuff next door that I might show you on a filler for that. That's coming out. It's not out yet. Top secret. But we might use it today. I was told not to show it to anybody, but that was 6 months ago. So how long can you keep a secret, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to true up this end, and it'll take that, some of that out. I'm just slightly off center, I think, there in my setup, and I'm pushing it crooked. That's what's making her, and there's a lot of leverage out here. And I do have a steady rest here, the multi-rest steady rest from Carter Products, but I think once I cut this down, I won't need it. So one thing I'm going to do while you're not seeing, because I know I don't like you to have to watch the cameras jump around, I'm going to adjust this end camera, because we're going to need this view here in the future. And I'll have to change it again. But there we go. And I'm just going to I'm going to use all kinds of tools today. Just give you the heads up. Carter & Son, high-speed steel, easy wood tools, carbide tools. I got a plan. I want to bring out the Haynes tool MagnaCore, and I may be using that to part this off. It's actually a coring tool, and I thought about doing some parting or coring today, but I decided I changed my mind. So to clean this up, I think I just want to clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to take this carbide tool. I could use anything in the realm here, but I just want to true up this end and get rid of that initial hole there. And make a true one. And now, because I am so close, I'm going to put the tailstock back up, maybe make one or two more passes just to get this flat, and then I'm going to part off a big chunk for the lid. So this piece is more reasonable in length. Okay, so let me go back over here to. I was on the wrong camera the whole time for that, guys. I was supposed to be showing you using the tool coming across there, and my producer messed up. I apologize for that. It happens. I'll say that I've only got one brain and two hands. How's that? It seems like neither of them want to work very well this morning. There we go. Let's see if that takes that clunk away too. Thought it would. Yeah. So it was just a little bit out of alignment from when I had first put it in there, and once I turned the speed up and the tailstock, the live center pushed in, it was just a little bit out of alignment there. So now we're turning 14, 15, we've got no noise at all. So it's just me abusing the lathe. Again, which is not anything entirely new. Another pass or two pass across here, and we will. And if you haven't seen the MagnaCore before, it's kind of an interesting tool. Scares a lot of people, but it's actually a lot of fun to use. So this wood has been dry for 3 years, give or take, and that's why the split's in it, things like that. I've got some maple that's in the 5-year range that I've been turning. The sycamore is considerably softer. Okay, I'm living with that. I'm good with that. So let me look over here at the MagnaCore. See if I have all the parts, and I may be blowing smoke at you if they're not all here. I swore I saw it recently. There's parts of it. There's one part, and I'm hoping I find the blade for it. There it is. Nope, I lied. Don't you love it when I just get over here and start rooting around through tools? There we go. It's been a couple of years since I've even had this guy in my hand. So if you haven't seen the Haynes tool MagnaCore before, this is it. It's an arm brace style, and he uses it as designed as a coring tool. And it's got a little teeny diamond shaped carbide tip right here, and when you core with it, it's a straight core, so you don't have any angles. There's no curve to it, and you just come in and make cones with it, if you will, and it actually surprisingly works quite well. Now mine has a little bit of a bend in it from getting caught one time, but I set the cutter at the center axis of the lathe. Alright, and again, I don't want my jar to be super tall. We're going to put a tenon on it on one end or the other here. So I'm going to have a good piece of wood up here left over to make my lid out of. Alright, because I just don't want this to be inordinately long. I want to be able to hollow it pretty easy today and things like that. So let's go for the overhead for you. Get me remembered on how to use this old guy. Got a little bit of resin dripped on it. I don't know how that happened. A little bit on the bottom there. Now I won't go all the way through. I'll stop and take the tailstock away and then finish it off. I'm going to turn the speed down. I don't want to be doing it at 1400. So I'll start in here at about 7 1/4. And you should be able to see the tip coming in right there. And I don't know which end view, if the overview or end view would be better for you. We'll start with the overview. Okay. Think of it in this sense as a giant parting tool that you have good control over. It makes something like this super easy. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stop the lathe, take the tailstock away, and let this guy just come free. I'm going to turn it down to about 500 for the last little bit of the cut, and it'll just kind of flop. I'm not going to try and catch it, I don't think. The other thing I could do is reach in there now with the smaller tool. Let's do that. So that got me there, and I'm going to grab a standard parting tool, see if I can reach into the middle of that for a lighter take on that. So if I can get in here with my Carter & Son 16th inch parting tool, that's what I think I'll do. It will reach that far. What I'm doing is I'm checking on the end to make sure that I can reach in there just fine. Because this tool flares out, it's got one flare here and then another big flare here. So I'm checking the center and seeing that I'm good to go, and I got plenty of room here for that. So we'll just use this to finish this off. Now, I probably just made a mistake. I should have put a tenon on here, but I didn't. So I'll be putting this in a set of 3.5 inch jaws, because now I don't have enough mass in here to make a tenon, and that's just the way it is. I can always put it between centers and put a tenon on it. And that just pops right off. And there we are. All right. Cool beans. So that worked quite well. This is now a much more reasonable length to work with. This will be our cap. This will be our top. Whatever we do with it. There's a lot of cracks in the very, very top, but it looks pretty clean back in here. So we'll just leave that set for a little bit as we think about what are we going to do next, how are we going to do it, what do we want to make shape-wise and tenon-wise, and what do we want to make the top and the bottom. Another thing I want you to see, because I notice it, so this was running true, and I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not. So we turned this perfectly round, and because it's on a faceplate and this wood is fairly soft, when I put that all that lateral force on here, it obviously loosened up the screws a little bit because this is not running true anymore. I can show you in the overhead. This is not running as true as it was, and I think that's from taking all the force of the big tool, the MagnaCore, I forgot its name for a second, as we were pushing laterally across this. So those screws are only 1 inch long down in the end, and that's probably the reason for that. So it's always something that you want to be aware of. If something changes, always be looking for any changes that happen while you're turning. So if something was turning perfectly true and round, and then you notice that it's different, that's cause for, not say alarm so much as heightened awareness would be a better way to put it, because something has changed and you want to make sure you know what that is. So if I lock down the spindle, I probably won't see or feel any play. Actually I do, so I can wiggle this piece. Let me go overhead and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. That's how much play from putting that lateral force on there. Okay. I might have been wiser, hindsight being 20/20, to have made my tenon back here to start with before I did that. I don't think it's going anywhere. I could undo this off, take the unscrew it from the lathe and snug up my screws just to see if it helps hold it for a little bit. I don't know. I also run the risk of stripping them out. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens. So this will be our experiment. I'll experiment for you, and we'll see what happens. He says to get this off. So always be aware when things are changing. If something changes, that's why. Well, thank you, Dee. If you have to go, you have a great day too. If something changes, you always want to make sure you check on it and that you're aware of it. Now I'm going to clutch this cordless back down around 11, so I know that I don't strip them out. And that one's stripped right there already. And all I need to do is make a tenon on this, and I'm going to put the tailstock back up there. But it's these little things that will keep you from having an accident. You know, you see stuff on the internet, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. Somebody took one to the face and they broke their nose. That one's stripped out. If you take some time to make sure and double check whenever something happens, save you a lot of pain. And as I was saying, that's why I don't play music in the shop when I'm working. I want to hear everything that's going on. I don't want to be another statistic if I can help it. So far, I've only been hit once, severely in the face / nose. All I got was a bloody nose and a damaged pride and ego out of it. Other than that, I was all good. And it sure taught me a lesson, and it only took once. You know, so I'm gonna clean this up a little bit so that tailstock can go back in there easier again. Real quick like. because I always like to want to work between centers as much as I possibly can, because I don't want to get hit. It's just that simple. Now, this piece is going to get the color texture, the metallic paint texture on it. So I'm not really that concerned about the pretty part of the grain or anything, because it's all going to get hidden. I know some people think that's a shame, but that's the way it is. So looking at this piece of wood, though, I'm making my determination. This knot down here, if I made that the top, well, that would be in the joining section. So let's go ahead and make this the tenon area. That will cut that away. Our top here is pretty clean, short of maybe some cracks in it, something like that. So we're going to make our tenon down here on the bottom. All right. We're going to make a 3.5 inch tenon. I'll be using the Easywood Tools Easy Chuck today. And I do want to make sure that I'm at center before I get away, because I'm going to use one of their square tools. I need to come up just a fuzz. I love their square tool called the Rougher for making my tenons. Now, as I was talking about earlier, if you were here from the beginning, I moved everything forward. I don't know if you can really tell in the pictures or not. I moved everything forward by 2 feet to help with my chroma key. And now my tools are a little bit further back, but at least I have some room to kind of turn around and move. Of course, I throw shadows on the wall and all that. But that's what you get. So let me get back in here to my well-organized set of jaws and chuck. Get my goodies out. I really do. I'm enjoying having the work table right out in front of me. I used to have it over on the side. So now I've got a place to put things right in front of me. And I can also pick them up real quick to show you and stuff like that, show you what I'm doing. If I had a PTZ camera, one of these days I'll spend that kind of money. I could like roll one of the cameras over and you could see what was going on here a little bit easier. But it looks like you can see in the front camera that I'm on. And so that's all good. You'd think I'd have a tape measure in here, but I don't. And I'm going to walk over here real quick because there's some goofy thing on my screen. So I'm just going to set my calipers to the 3.5 right off of the jaws. And I do want as close to a perfect circle. Now this wood is soft, so I'm going to make my tenon just a little bit larger. I like about 1/8 of an inch gap. So I'm going to go for more like 3 1/4 or so. It's easier if they were already in the chuck, but hey. There we go. Okay. And I'll just check down here as I make this. And I'll just be cutting straight in with the Easywood tool. So let's go to the overhead. Get our square tool out. Quick sip of water for the man that's in front of the medium breeze coming from the fan. Do. Off we go. A little more speed. Take her up to about 1,000 again. Easywood tools. If you're not familiar with them, these run dead level. You don't drop the handle up, down. You don't raise the handle up. You don't roll the tool over. It just sits flat on the tool rest. Also, the cutter is approximately 3/8 of an inch, which is the depth of the jaws. So I will use that as my gauge. So that gives you an idea. And I'm right on the end. You can just barely see that. So let's do this, because this guy is shorter now. Let me make this move again. because everything can move. Because if you can't see what's going on, what's the purpose of hanging out? So we'll move the lathe and not the camera to get things more in center. And that makes the end view look better. I'm watching it over in its other camera. Good deal. Hey Corey, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Now everything's right in the middle here. We're all good. Again, turning about 1,000. Now that's a big cut with the tool, so I'm going to come in here in half steps, make my life easier. Okay. So I've got a 3-inch faceplate on here, so I can go real close to that before I have to check. I need a light in here, but I'm afraid to turn one of the lights for fear that it'll mess up my background, so I'll just deal in the dark. Just about there. Perfect. All right. So that's all I needed for that. So now I can come in with my second cut. Just made it up with the first one. So there's my tenon. It's the right length because of the size, and you can't quite see that, but the tenon is exactly the same length as the cutter. Okay. And make sure that I have a nice flat shoulder here for the jaws to rest on. I need to put a dovetail in here to match my jaws. Corey, I'm doing awesome. Now that I got started, it was a little bumpy getting out the gate, you know, but what else is new for me? Wasn't as bumpy as Saturday. Jerry, you like the easy tool for making the tenons? I need to get on your website and order another plus bits. I'm using the Sorby tenon gouge plus a Badan. Carbide does work well. Yeah, jump on yours, Jerry. We'll hook you up. So about a 10-degree dovetail tenon. And since I'm kind of at an odd angle, I'm going to come back around and just make that shoulder nice and flat right there. And make sure that that's all good. All right. Good deal. That's what I need. Yeah, Jerry, I used to use my 1/4-inch gouge for making my tenons for years. That's what I did. And it worked great. But when I started using the square cutter, the Easywood Tools, the rougher, it just made so much more sense because you can just go pop, bang, and there's your tenon. I mean, no muss, no fuss. It's all about, especially, time is money, and so the faster you can make a part, the more you're going to make a living. Let's see if I can get this off without a tool. There we go. And I balance that, and again, I think, Jerry, you can relate to this. Those of you who don't know Jerry Meismer, he's an awesome turner out of North Carolina. I'd say the name of your little town there, Jerry, but I don't know it. I met Jerry 8 years ago, probably, at the woodworking shows, maybe 10, I don't know, when the first time we came to Charlotte, that I was at the woodworking shows, and he does hats. And I was there as the demonstrator, the educator for the woodworking shows, and he saw the color, all my colored bowls and pieces, and he got really fascinated with color. Now he does a lot of color, does a lot of birdhouses, doing birdhouses for the state. And Jerry came and demonstrated for us, not this year, because we didn't go to Charlotte, but last year in Charlotte at the woodworking shows. It was great to see him. He was with us all weekend. Wonderful guy, great turner. Semper Fi. Is that right, sir? And I've always enjoyed knowing Jerry. And Jerry's going to come up here. We were kind of he was commenting about it the other day, and we've talked about it on and off. He's going to come up here and do some of these demonstrations with me here in the studio as we finally get things together. I'm putting him on the spot out there. But it's been in the works for a while. We just have to finalize all that. So we'll get this guy up in the chuck. We'll get our jaws changed. Now, I haven't even thought about what am I going to hollow this with and what is my outside profile going to be like. So, because first thing I'm going to do is make my outside profile. And I wish it had been one of the other blocks, the big one that I pulled up earlier, because I was going to get a shorter, wider ratio in the. And if you weren't here earlier, those of you who weren't, this was the blank that I wanted to use. Okay, this big guy, and I would have had a wider and a little bit shorter jar. Because I'm not trying to make, I didn't want to make a tall, skinny hollow form, but I couldn't. At last minute, I realized I couldn't get it in the bandsaw, so here we are. So I'll come up with another shape here. Corey, I'm using the Easywood Tools Easy Chuck. As you can see with the quick change jaws. I believe you used this when you demonstrated for it at the road, on the road. Those of you who, if you don't know Corey Donner, he did his first live demonstrations with Spydercraft and myself at the woodworking shows this year, did a great job. And he tells me that he is putting some cameras together to be able to do some live stream work. So I'm going to put all you guys on the spot today. So I made that tenon a little bit bigger. I don't know what I was thinking than I wanted to, but it'll be okay. I don't normally like that big a gap. We'll get some crush in here. Make sure I don't have it crooked. A little bit bigger than I would have normally liked. Again, I just was talking and not paying enough attention to what I was doing. I'm curious, because I have some, I got a lot of electronics in here. Because I got this fan blowing on me and right on the microphone, if you're hearing the fan go across, the wind noise go across the mic or not. I mean, I can check it when I get all done, but I'm just kind of curious to know if that's happening or not. Okay. So now we have to come up with a shape. What shape do I want my jar to be? So I was looking, I wish I could do, there's really cool square jaws with square jars with round corners over time. Of course, we can't quite do that in this world. Thank you, Jerry, on the sound check. So we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to think about this. What kind of a jar do I want to make? I'd like to keep it functional, meaning that I would like to keep the open end fairly large. All right. But I still want to give it some kind of shape at the same time. So I will, and I do not have a plan. I'm going to get in here and just kind of start to carve. I have been looking for, I changed a bunch of things around. And in my spindle gouges that I'm working so hard to learn how to use, some of the bigger ones, I don't know where I put them. And I will do this with the bowl gouge if necessary. I could do it with carbide as well. But I really want to use my 1/2-inch spindle gouge. And I'm looking down over in here. I got tools scattered all over the place in here, guys, which is sad to admit. I'm ashamed to admit. There's a double-ended. And what else is over here? I think these aren't handled, that's why I can't find them. I got all kinds of goodies. That's the bowl gouge on one end and a detail gouge on the other. That's the bowl gouge. I'm still not finding what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the low profile spindle gouges. And since I'm on that camera, I'm going to go overhead for a second and walk over here and see if I can't find them in another box real quick. You would think when a place is this small, it'd be easy to keep track of things, but I find that to be almost exactly the opposite. Things just disappear into nooks and crannies and holes. That, and I get in a hurry and I start just moving things around. Well, I'm finding everything but what I'm looking for, which somehow doesn't seem to surprise me. But I may be using this guy today if I have all the parts. Got a Spindle Master. I might work with a Spindle Master today. Sorby Spindle Master. I started working with that out on the road. That could be fun. I know you hear me clunking around and all this stuff. Let's play with the Spindle Master just for fun. I am not proficient with it, but this is how we get better. Let's see if I can find my card. I'm going to have to get somebody to come clean this place up. Okay. So, and this may or may not be the right, exactly what I want. This is a Sorby Spindle Master. It's the most simple tool in the world. I started demonstrating this for Sorby at the woodworking shows this year. Spirocraft does carry Sorby tools. We had them out on the road. Do not have them in the store yet. They're in the warehouse. They're here. I just haven't gotten to that section. The cool thing about this, and I'm gonna change camera angles for you. Go overhead. We don't mess with this bevel at all. We only sharpen. We flatten the top. All right. We just take a diamond card, and I'm going to use the 300 grit side, and we just keep it flat. And that's all we have to do on the tool. Now I'm just going to go in a little bit of a circular fashion here. Now I may want to move more wood than this, so I may use this a little bit later. We'll just see how it cuts. Because I can do this with the bowl gouge equally well. I really wish, and I hate complaining, but I wish I knew where my half-inch spindle gouge were. The low-profile spindle gouges, I know Jerry's not a fan of the low-profile spindle gouge, but he likes their standard spindle gouge. I like the low-profile, but I just can't find it right now. And I do not know where I would have hidden them. And I'm looking in every nook and cranny that I can find. And I know they're here, I just don't know where. Hey, Dick Gerard's here. How you doing, Dick? Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling well. You know, this might be, I might want to save, I'm going to try it anyway. It may not move enough wood for me. We'll see what happens. Again, I am not a master of the Sorby Spindle Master, but it is a fun tool because it's so simple. And I'm thinking about my shape now. And I had my marker earlier and I got mad at it and threw it away. I want to leave a rim up here, a decorative rim. And I'm looking to see if I have some other things here in place. Never quite as prepared as I want to be. We don't want to make this real small because we want to make it be a jar that we can use. So I've bumped her up to about 1,500. And you never want to use the tip on this guy. Well, I say never. I'm gonna raise the tool rest up a little bit. You don't want to use it except for when you're down in like a V cut and something like that. It does leave a nice cut behind when you're having a good day. Okay. You know, I just like playing with tools that I'm not that proficient with. And I don't mind, I'm quite honest, I don't mind using them, in front of you guys and saying, hey, I haven't used this tool a lot. Because we all have to learn somewhere, sometime, somehow. And I'm no different than the next guy. What it takes is time and practice. And because I spend so much time in the office on the computer these days, I don't have a lot of time, so this is my time in a lot of ways. So I'll come back and again, I don't have to worry about this being a perfect finish. It's good practice because I'm going to put this textured paint on here that I'm going to put textured paint on here so it doesn't matter how smooth it is. But I'm standing here turning wood, and the only way that we learn and get better is to pretend like, if nothing else, that this is going to be the final finish. And this is a clean cut. It's super smooth. Do I need to cut that smooth for what I'm doing? Actually, I don't. But this is a great time to practice. I always encourage people when I'm teaching out on the road, all that wood that you're going to throw away, that's practice wood, all right? Take your time, come up with a plan, do your best. Even if you're going to carve it away and in the middle of the bowl, practice in the middle of the bowl with your bowl gouges and things, all right? There's nothing wrong with that. So that said, I need to move some more wood out of here as I think about my shape. It's so long and cylindrical, it is going to be more of just kind of a roundish jar. And old homeboy here is going to come in here with the bowl gouge. And just start thinking about his shape. That's why I'm going to move a little more wood. And I could use my spindle. I should use my spindle roughing gouge. Get more practice with that as well. Don't be a goofball. Because we're just moving masses of material. And what am I on? I need to go to overhead there for you. And I'm going to have a base down here. Again, I want this to be in a jar, not your typical hollow form. Jars typically have pretty straight sides. I could make it flare out. I think it's too small in diameter for that kind of concept, I think. Although we could make it flare some. I've got this hump right here as a potential profile. So as I start to think about this, you'll understand why I wanted that bigger block of wood. And I'm kind of thinking this through as I go. Might be the world's goofiest looking jar when I get done with it. You never know. That's why we have fun. It's wood. We're out here to have fun. I'm looking through my tool assortment, see what else I might want to play with. Let's not forget the carbide. the round carbide tools, and I only have the standard one on a, oh, here's a mid-size. My favorite tool in the size-wise for the carbide tools from Easywood Tools is the mid-size style tool. Here's the mini that I was using earlier, and I think of these as a sculpting tool, so this would be again an excellent place to use this tool. Again, I like to show that you can use all these different tools. It doesn't matter, as long as you're using a tool that is suited for the application. It doesn't matter what you have. If you have carbide tools, if you have high-speed steel tools, if you have an open mind, I think that's the most important thing. Because these round tools make it so easy to make a nice arc. Again, I don't know if this hump is going to stay here in the middle. Depends on if I like it or not. You can see the base that is starting to develop there. Because when this is long like this, it kind of makes the shape a little bit goofy. So may end up like an odd vase with a lid. This is actually in the it's just entirely in the wrong place now. So we'll just change that. Okay, I just didn't like the way that was looking. Should I like that better, just being more simple? I'm going to stop and clean my tool rest with a flat file real quick. I feel the tool dragging on it just a little bit. And especially with contoured shapes, you really want to have a good tool rest. So I'm just getting my flat file out here and giving it a couple of passes across the tool rest. Always do the entire tool rest, otherwise you'll file a U shape into it. So make sure you do the ends even if they don't need it, just to keep everything even. Take good care of that guy. Okay. You can see the black that comes off when you do that. I like that shape already just by changing it just a little teeny bit. I didn't like that hump that I had. You know, just sometimes you start laying down a shape and you don't like it and you go, well, this isn't really working for me. So let's change it. Now I don't want to spend a lot of time outside here because I have to go inside still and hollow this guy out. So just for fun, now that I've done that, I'm going to see if I clean this up. I may just leave it just about like it is. Don't ask me what kind of a jar it is. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because then I want to jump in here and take out the insides. Raise that tool rest up a little bit more. Take out the inside so we can go set about making a lid. And I see I do have a split right here. And I think I'm going to be running next door and getting some magic powder for that. So when you ride along and just let that bevel in the back kind of burnish the cut. It's kind of like the easy to use skew. May not have quite as many uses as a skew in the right hands, But I think you'll see when I finish here that I have a fantastic finish right there. So this is ready to sand with 220. I mean, that's how smooth that is. You could easily sand that, start sanding that at 220. There's a little bit of a rim right there, a ridge where I made that junction. But that's how this simple little tool works. So I'm going to see if I can't get that out of there real quick. And if not, I'll have to just sand that away. Or again, what I'm going to do to this, it won't matter. So now we'll come on down through here. We'll clean all this up. So you can see using the carbide tool in the round gave me the ease of shape for sculpting. And then I'm coming back with this tool, another simple tool, and cleaning things right up and getting a fantastic finished cut on my piece. Get that little hump out of there. Clean this up just a tick. Okay. So really nice, real nice finish. I got a couple of tool marks here, going round and round. I'll clean up this base here a little bit. Very simple tool to use, and again, all you have to do is sharpen it flat on the top. Makes it work great. Okay, so there's my piece. There's my outside. This is my jar. It's a funny looking jar. I got to work with what I got. I'm going to run next door and get some filler for this crack. All right, I'm not going to make this real thin walls, but I do want to fill that crack. So give me 30 to 45 seconds and I will be right back. It's just next door here in the other building. And the one that you don't get to see because it's a real mess. I don't even know how I'm doing on time. I'll look at the computer here and see what kind of time it is. And I just need a jar of CA glue. Medium. As usual, rooting through the drawers. Okay. All good. See, that didn't take long. Now, don't tell anybody you saw this yet, or I'll get in trouble. Not really, but I'm going to take a little bit of this powder, and I'm going to pack it down in this split. Pack it down in there real good. It's got a little color to it, but that doesn't really matter to us here today. Okay. Pack some more in there. Push that around. For today, we're just going to call this magic powder. You can see how the very top edge of that still got some roughness to it. So, just a little bit of sanding would take care of all that. All right, let's give this its first shot. And this is thick because I can't find my medium right off the top of my head or around the shop. And we're just going to flood that with that thick CA. All right. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to wipe off the excess so that it doesn't stand proud. Because we don't need that up there. All right. Now this is a little test to see if anybody guesses what I didn't do or what I'm not doing. All right. We'll see who figures it out. Now, let's go ahead and get inside of this guy. And what are we going to hollow it with? Oh, who knows? We'll have to decide. Steve says activator. Well, how about if I told you, Steve, that we don't need no stinking activator? That's the magic. That's the magic part of it. All right. Hollowing tools that I want to use for this. That's a long way in there. I have part of what I want to use. I'm not going to set up the Carter tool, the hollow roller system. I'm looking for the other half of my stinger, which of course I won't find. So yep, no accelerator. None needed. That's what makes it magic. And since we're talking about magic, and I know wherever it went, I just want to appease myself, although I've lost it, because I can scroll up and down here and see all your questions. Yeah. That's the deal. We didn't have to do anything to it. You did not see it here first. Okay? But you will see it here before too long. All right. Let me quit goofing around here. I'm going to start actually with something fairly small. And I want the CI5 on here. A little unprepared, but that's not uncommon. If I have another CI5 not negative rake, I will change this out. If not, I will do something different. There we go. That, and we need the thing that I always lose is the wrench. Got the big ones. Supposed to be hiding right there in the corner. Of course it's not. I'll give myself 30 seconds more to find what I'm looking for, and then I will change plans. Hey, all right, I made it. within 30 seconds. Good deal. So, real quick here, I'm going to change out the cutter on a number 1 hollower, an Easywood Tools number 1 hollower. I'm going to change that out. I do need my ice pick. This will work right here. Always want to make sure you clean these out. I think that'll work. Screw head will work. A screw will work. Always get the chips out of. Arthur, you and your keyboard. You guys always have such an interesting relationship, you and your keyboard. So I know you're on your cell phone. That's why I'm going to get you. I'm going to send you a computer, Arthur. Quick change on this cutter here. Boy, my hair's all messed up. It is a little warm today. What time is it? 11:47. So we're going to run a little late. Nothing new in my world. I hope you guys don't mind hanging with me. Because we're going to hollow this out and then we're going to make a lid that fits this guy. This is a fun little project. It's a different kind of jar. If we left it without a lid, it would be a hollow form, of course, obviously, as they might say. Yes, there's a knife over in the drawer. Oh, there's my scissors. I was looking right at them. One of these days, I'll get Easywood Tools to stop putting the screw down in its own little pocket, you know. Put it up in there with the cutter. This number 1 hollower is a great tool. You can really do a lot of work with it fast, move a lot of material. I can probably reach most of the way in here to do what I need to do with this. It is maybe pushing the limit of the reach, but again, it's big enough in the opening here in the end. 3, 2. It's big enough opening that I can sneak my tool rest in there a little bit if I need to. So I can probably get all the way in there. I have my a Stinger arm brace style hollowing tool sitting over there, but I couldn't find, of course, the other half. I have all the curved hollowing tools and all, but I need to get this thing hollowed out in the middle first, and I'm going to put my cutter back in my pocket. So I got a fresh cutter on here on the CI5. Now, when it comes to the Easywood Tools, the folks who use these all the time, the number 1 hollower is their favorite tool. It's just our number 1 tool. The fact that it has the name hollower on it, sometimes it's used as a hollower. We use it for all kinds of things all the time, and we love it. What type of wood is this? This is sycamore. This is sycamore. And I'm just about sick of looking at it anymore. Not really, but I've been working off of the same tree for 3 years. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Let's make sure everything's all snugged up. This is a fair bit of leverage, and I'm not going to bring the steady rest out. That's just one more thing to fool with. And so I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going to make the walls super thin or anything on this. Okay. Hopefully this will go pretty quick. And I won't do it to the nth degree because I can always come back and do more to it later. Of course, it would help if you'd unlock the spindle. Usually does. So I'll hold this around 1200 or so, and I'm on there, so I need to go to there for you guys. Hopefully that stays nice and in focus. Let me know if it goes out of focus or does anything crazy. Yeah, you could come in here with a big Forstner bit and hollow that all out. All I'm really worried about today is making enough, because of time, to be able to make the lid. Make a lid to fit. So I'll probably stay short of going very far in here just because of looking at the time. Because it would help to have the steady rest on this thing. It's almost 12 inches long, I'll bet. So I'm going to switch gears here for a second and grab the square tool just to help me define for my wall, what my wall thickness is going to be. Now this is not going to be a fitted lid in the degree that a lidded box is. It's going to be a looser fit than that, and especially I need to allow, it's way over here, I need to allow for the finish that I'm going to put on, which is going to cover the whole thing, which is fairly thick. So I need to leave it fairly generous in its fit, and as far as loose, because some of that fit is going to be filled back up with the actual finish that goes on when we put the primer on, and then we put either the brass or the bronze or the copper on. And especially if I use the heavy textured primer, I'm going to take up a lot of room, so I want to make sure that I don't make it too tight. And now, how thick is that film going to be, or that finish going to be? It's kind of hard to know. So that's just something I have to keep into consideration. So let's just imagine, if you will, that we went all the way down inside this guy, okay? And we hollowed that all out, all right? But the time is ticking, and we don't all have all day to hang out with me. So we're going to stop right there. That will give us what we need to develop our lid, all right? And we're going to take this off, and we're going to get our lid going, and then we're going to fit our lid to that. Then we're going to put it all back together and shape the rest of this and decide what we want to do, okay? You with me? So let me get out of my mask because it's getting hot there. And I'll jump this around. Now, the other thing is, do I mark these where they were? Well, the jaws aren't marked, but I'm going to mark this one. Oftentimes I don't. And we'll see how it reloads. That's the downside. Now, of course, I could, if I had a second chuck hanging around handy, I could just leave this one in this chuck and use another one. But I'm just going to mark this, and I'll mark these jaws right here, and that'll tell me that's where that was sitting. Okay, and with the crush mark that's in there, it should line back up pretty well. All right. Yes, this lathe is, I love doing big pieces. I keep threatening that I'm going to come out here, Mama Bear, and do outboard, where I turn out here and say a 36-inch piece. There's so much fun. I can rotate the headstock 90 degrees, or I can slide it off the end. I love doing big pieces. If you weren't here yesterday, I didn't turn this yesterday, but this is the kind of things that I love to make, nice big pieces. So it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, this particular lathe, which is a Colt, is no longer in the country. You cannot buy it here. They're gone. This is a sad, sad thing. All right. I don't have my I broke my step drive, and I didn't grab a Sorby. So we're going to put this guy back between centers here. I think what we're going to do, we got plenty of wood. So we're going to put this on a worm screw. Of course, now I'm making myself assume that I can find the right size worm screw to do what I need, or the right size drill bit. I did find the worm screw, so that's all good. And we'll change the jaws out on the chuck. See how handy that is, having that table up in front? I'm talking to myself, kind of. This should do the trick. We'll use the smaller one. So in the overhead, there's already a dimple in here. This is the end that we cut off, so that's what we want to use. This is the waist end. So I've already got a dimple in here. This wood is pretty soft. Hopefully it's not going to be an issue. That's the one thing about worm screws. Sometimes when the wood is soft, it concerns me. And I need a set of 2 3/8 inch jaws. 2, 3, 4. The one thing about the Easy Chuck, you cannot beat changing jaws. Now I've got a whole bunch of chucks over in the other building. Before I had Easy Chucks and was working with Easy Wood Tools, I had a chuck with every size jaw on it, or every size jaw that I used, which is a lot of money. This makes it so easy for me to change jaws and not have to change the chuck. I use this out here for demonstrations like this, and on the road with the woodworking shows. This is what I take out there. I mean, yes, I have other chucks, and I have other chucks that I like very much, but if I need to be changing jaws a lot, this is what I go to. You want to make a very large pasta bowl. That would be a good project. So this will thread on and hopefully come up snug. I don't want to push it and strip it out. Okay. I'm going to bring my tailstock up just to get things kind of cleaned up here a little bit. I'm going to turn that little nub away first. See, I got another split in here, and as soon as we get close to the shape on this, the fit, then we'll fill that with the magic dust as well. I don't know about you, but I'm having a good day. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying what I'm up to. I hope you are. Feel free to ask questions. That's why I'm here. If you're too shy to ask a question in the comments, send me an email, contact@spydercraft.com. I will be happy to answer your questions. That's what I do. That's what I'm about. All right. Let's just kind of get this guy cleaned up a little bit. Make sure we're in the right spot. Oh, you'll see the magic dust in a minute. I can't tell you what it is because it's still a secret, but I can show it to you. Alright, now another thing I can do here, I could part this off and make a tenon to hold the lid and all that. And I maybe should, because that's a lot of wood that's sticking out the end. But that's more time. So I think I will not do that. I'm going to take my tailstock out of the way for a moment. I don't have all the calipers. I was going to go out to the warehouse and grab some more calipers. Inside, outside, the new Sorby ones that we have. And I just didn't do that. So I just want to get a ballpark idea here of where things are. Okay. Now here's how I'm going to go about this. This is easy. Easy. As they say, easy peasy. Again, because we're not going for the nth degree, nth world fit. Now the other thing I can do, I've got my calipers over here, and it'll get me closer. I'm going to open these up. I'm reaching over top of you there. So I'll set these. I'll set these to roughly exactly what that is, what the piece is, and then we'll fudge from there. Okay. That'll make this really easy, because this is going to drop down inside there. Be easier if I do it left-handed, so I can use my right hand to hold the calipers up. And with these square style cutters, you can go laterally. So what I'm going to do is make a series of real light cuts here, kind of like I was making a tenon. So I'm not committing. Am I on the end camera? Yeah. I'm not committing to what I've cut yet until I'm where I want to be. I just come in here with the side of the tool, and I hope you can see that. Yeah, you can see that little line that I'm making. So that's what I'm checking. Okay. So not a commitment. I mean, I've taken away a 32nd of wood. All right, so that's real close. That might be just about what I want. Okay. So now I'll just work my way up to this. All right, this is where it gets tricky right here. Okay. Now there's my line, so I'm going to take a little bit more out of this. All right. I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of a bevel on this edge, just a little teeny bit, so that those two corners come down and touch, or the sides touch themselves on the outside edge. All right. Now hopefully, if I got this close enough, it won't be all floppy and loose. So it's just about right, okay? Just about right. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to shift, because I'm going to leave this whole thing together just like this. And I should have put a mark. Where am I at? On which camera am I on? I should have marked the center of this, and I did not. Okay, that's my bad. Oh, the magic dust. I can do magic dust. You're right. So that this is sealed up. Although it may get turned away. So I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to wait on the magic dust, because I'm going to turn this So I have to wait a minute. So instead of taking this back out of the chuck, I'm just going to put this up with the tailstock. Had I made a mark in the center, I would have been able to put my tailstock up there real nice and dead centered for sure. So we're just going to have to sneak this guy in there and hope for the best. I mean, it's pretty snug. There's no play left to right. Let me show you in the overhead here. All right. There's really no play. The hard part is making sure that this is centered down here, and that's going to be the tough part. And it may be off a little bit, and it looks like it's acting like it wants to be, because it did go off center, which makes life more difficult. Because once it goes off, it tends to want to slide that way. Okay, so it's not perfect because I messed up being in a hurry. But most of what's wrong is down on this end. All right. It's only off by a tick up here. I would have been better off if, like I said, had I marked this end down here. But I didn't. All right. So you can see what we're going to do. Because there's one more thing I'm going to do to the lid. That's why I wanted to leave it in the chuck. So I'm going to shape this lid now to match my piece here. Now I'll jump in here with the carbide round tool. And I am on the overhead, right? Yes. Now, because this is just off a little teeny bit, it is going to make a slight spiral cut here, and that's my bad for doing it the way I did it. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. The best part about this for me is I am making this up as I go, just having a ball. Now, again, I could come out here, and it's pretty far out on this corner right here, but we could sand that around pretty easy. So let's say I wanted to make this as nice a fit as I could. I can come to this point and just take that right through. And now this is all nice and smooth and matches as good as that joint is. All right, and that joint's only so good, but it's not bad, all things considered. All right. Oh, I threw something off on the floor. Must have been a chuck jaw, which I will need. How are we doing on time? 12:11. I'll be done by 12:30, I promise you. Be done by 12:30, I guarantee. All right, so my next move, do I want to shape up here anymore, or do I want to take this away? You know, it's helpful to have the whole piece in place while you think about any more shaping that you might want to do. Because I'm trying to come up with kind of a goofy, fun concept. And I'm going to turn this around here in a minute. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy for this lid. I honestly don't. But let's say I wanted to have this second bevel on the top. I want it to, let's say I want it to mirror that angle. So while I'm here with it connected, I can look at that. And I may turn all this away, I'm not sure. See, I'm just kind of letting it flow. Because I kind of like this indentation here, kind of like that might be your grab point. So I can only make so small a radius with that larger cutter. So I switch over now to the smaller diameter. And I can continue this radius on down inside here. Blend that all together. You're talking about the, Mama Bear, you're talking about the magic dust. It will be available through Spiracraft before too terribly long. I'm actually testing it. That's why I can't tell you everything about it, but I can show you how it works. All right. Let's leave that be. Take that off. We'll set that over there. Now, next thing I want to do here, before I forget, I want to cup this out. I want to dome this, and I'm going to put a little hole in here because when I want something to put it up on, for when I put the finish on it, I want to put it up on, let's say, a coat hanger wire. So I want to clean this up right in here, and I am on the end camera. So let me go to, or the overhead. So let me go to the end camera, which you can't see now. So I will move it back in range. Come here. Come on. There we go. Take tailstock back off real quick. Stick my head in the way probably. Gonna dome this in, make it slightly cupped. And then I'm gonna just kind of drill a little hole in it, or make a little point, because I want to be able to put a wire, and then you'll never see it. And when I put the finish on it, I can pack extra finish in it after the fact. So we'll just clean this up. Now for fun, just because I haven't used one of the little spindle gougers yet today, I'm trying to always mix it up with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Just to clean this up, just because I want to play with my different tools. It never hurts to practice. I'm going to preach that at you forever. Okay, nice clean cut across there. All right. Good deal. Now, I wish I had a small drill bit here with me, and I'm going to look real quick and see if I do. Handy. If I don't, I'm just going to move right along and do it a different way. Nothing is popping out at me real quick. And all I need is something big enough for a wire. So, my favorite, well, I don't know if I should call it my favorite tool. JP Woodwork says I brought my Easywood tool cold jaws and another set I bought. Jaws about 4 tubs of Yorkshire grit to give away. Hey, cool. A must-have item in the Woodturner's toolbox is an ice pick. My dad gave me this one. My dad, I don't know if you're out here today. Ice pick, I use it for all kinds of things, all right? Just saves me. And so I'm going to just use it to make my hole here in the end. So just a coat hanger size wire, all right? Really fancy stuff. an ice pick. But it made me just the right size so that I can set this on a bent coat hanger, turn it, for a base to hold it up when I put the finish on the stuff. It's those little things that you figure out you keep around the shop that make all the difference in the world. Okay? Now, I should be able to get a hold of this with my 3-inch jaws, give or take, if I get them open all the way. Hopefully I will be able to, because that's what we're counting on. It won't be perfect, but it'll do the trick. Forgot to take my worm screw out. You can tell how much I use a worm screw. Not all that much. The magic dust is coming soon. JP, you were at the woodworking shows in 2017. Is that what you're referring to? All right, let's see if this is going to do what I want it to do. I love doing things the first time live because it gives me a challenge when something doesn't work. You have to figure it out. And I like to show that, things don't always work the way we had it planned. It happens to all of us. And working through what isn't working for you is as important as as far as I'm concerned, any other particular skill set or tool usage skill. All I need is my other jaw as I crawl around on the floor. See where it went. How far could it have gone? Be my luck, I won't be able to find it. There it is. I lost a chuck jaw demonstrating 4 EasyWood tools at IWF in Atlanta when you're in the pile of chips. And it was there. It wasn't any further than a quick little radius, but I lost it. Of course, the chips were all the way up to the lathe and piled up. You need to take my advice, babe. You need to not lose your chuck jaw. All right. So, I could bring the tailstock up. I'm going to get rid of this stuff right in here. This is all going to go. So, I'm just going to flail away at it, fire away, make it go away quick till I come up with what the rest of my lid looks like. All right. So we'll make this go away quickly. Overhead or end shot. I think end shot might be the best way to go. You'll see me coming around the end of the top. And keep in mind, as the description says, this is a jar that we're making today. This is not a holoform art piece. It actually theoretically is a functional piece. All right. Walls are a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier duty. So this is a Carter & Son 5/8 bowl gouge. And I'm just going to get rid of this wood quick. Oh, you're patient, honey. You married me. $5:30 in the UK. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for joining me today, JP. Please come back again. Love the company. We're out here every Monday. Take care. Be safe over there. God, there's a million possibilities that we could do with this lid. We could leave it like this. I'm not going to. But you see, you could have all kinds of different shapes. I think I'll switch to overhead for you now. That's the beauty of wood turning. It's completely up to you what you do with it, what you make with it. Now another thing I could do if I didn't want to sit there and mow that wood away. Now if I wanted to practice, that's a great way. I could take my time and practice. I can also take my parting tool and say, well, I'm not going to use any of this anyway. So the other thing we could do would be just to go ahead and cut this away that we know we're not going to use. And I know I'm not going to use this from about here. So make a little relief cut. I got to go pretty far. This will come zinging off of there. There you go. And now we're rid of that. So, you know, a lot of different ways to get to where you're going. Okay? It's a Christmas tree. It was. And is the crack still here? Because we still have to use the magic dust. Don't want to leave out the magic dust. The magic powder. Okay, so this is kind of, I'm thinking of this area as my grab for my lid, if you will. So now I just, you know, I do whatever I want to here. If I want to make it ornamental, if I just want to make it flat, let me go back to the end camera for you. When I spent my years turning, doing art and craft, I turned all week and then sold at art and craft shows. I didn't have any spindle gouges. All I had was bowl gouges, so I did all my spindle style work with the bowl gouge, just like I'm doing now. Okay, so you get used to and learn what you got. If you know, if your budget says you can't get all the tools, well then, as long as it's safe and it's not going to hurt anything, you're not going to hurt yourself. Learn to work with what you have. Somebody tells you you can't do spindle turning with a bowl gouge. Well, it's not completely true. Is it the optimum tool? Not necessarily. Does it work? Absolutely. Can you get a nice fine cut? Well, look at that. You see just like I'm sanding there. The key here, if I want this, well, it would be to have this tool super sharp. But also the bevel is not actually touching, it's just kind of floating along so the heel doesn't rub. Got a little weird grain right there. And you get a nicer cut. I can also turn this tool over and come in just like that. It's all a matter of time and practice. Okay. All right, so now I want to clean this little edge up, and I want to clean up in here because it's still kind of rough. So I'm going to go back to what I've been using today, my little Spindle Master, and I'm going to come across this too with the Spindle Master, as a matter of fact, and see if I can't put a little bit better finish on this. Just because I want to. You can see it looks like I'm sanding with sandpaper. See that dust coming off? Although I'm getting a little tool mark, I'm not super proficient with this guy yet. It all takes time. This wood is spalted, so it's got various densities to it. Okay. Now this is a little bit risky right here. But it cleaned that right up. Ow, don't do that. Stick your finger in there, it'll hurt. So probably, if I can come in here Come on, overhead. I'm going to go to overhead for you. If I can come in here with this and clean up this little groove with the Spindle Master, I'll be a happy camper. Okay, come in from the left, come in from the right. The right's got a steeper angle on it. I don't know if my head's sticking in there, I don't think so. So if the tip touches like that, you have a bad day. And that might be too thin an edge for my use with this tool. So I'm going to make a mess out of it if I keep doing that. So I'm going to go to a detail gouge wherever I put the little guy before I totally destroy this guy. So when you try new things, well, they don't always go right. So grab another tool that you are better with, come back in, fix it up. Life is good. There'll always be another project. There'll be some more test wood. At this point, I'm down to where I don't want to be making horrible mistakes because I don't have much more wood left to work with. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is get this profile just a little bit smaller. I'm going to take some of this off. I'm going to come right across here and take some of that away. Alright, and then I'm going to come back in here on this. How am I doing? I said 12:30. I promised 12:30, didn't I? I got 2 minutes. This is a little detail gouge. Wonderful to work with. Okay. So that's kind of my pull for taking the lid on and off of the jar, if you will. My fingers have something to grab. A little decorative so-and-so here. Could do more with that if we wanted to. Now, we do have a crack in it, a little split that is getting less and less. Now I almost can't find it, but I know it's here. May have turned it away. Where is it at? It's right there. And you can see it where we use the magic dust. I'm in the end. Right here, the magic powder to fill that. This crack is not going to hardly take any because it's so small and tight. But we will put it in there anyhow. So let me go back to the overhead because I promised I would. And see if we can even get it. Most of that crack is gone. But if there's any crack at all there, the CA glue is going to roll in there, and this is going to glue it back together. Again, I'm not worried about the color because I'm going to put a heavy finish on this. All right, now all I need, I always get zooming around here, is to figure out where I put my CA glue. And the answer is, he doesn't know. That's scary, isn't it? There it is. I knew I put it in a safe place. All right, so we are on the overhead camera. And if there's a crack here still, this will penetrate. And with the powder, it will set up and glue that crack together. And you can, and I know you can't see it because I'm not zooming in that tight. I can see a little hairline there. Okay. And I'm going to double check that there's not another one that I'm missing. Nope. And that's all I have to do. I don't have to put any accelerator on it because it will set up quickly on its own. So I'll take off the excess that I don't need to have there. And because I promised I'd be done at 12:30. So there's our lid, right? Got this little hole in it. Let me show you here in the overhead. So this will allow me to put this on a coat hanger and stand it up so that I can put the finish on it all the way around. Oh, there's a big crack for you. Here, let me fill that one real quick. That's the one we were still missing. So, magic powder real quick. Let me go overhead, go overhead. How does the color come out? It comes out the color that you see, but in this case it's going to be completely covered with the metallic paint, so you won't see it at all. But it would be this color, and there are going to be a variety of colors of this. It's pretty cool. Again, don't tell anybody I showed you this or I get in trouble. Take the lid off, Brad. You're already late. Slow down. What makes it nice is if you've used CA glue before to fill things, you know that sometimes it bubbles up on your piece when you put the accelerator on, so you don't have to do that. And again, I'm not worried about that on the look on the finish, the outside, because it's going to end up looking like this, you know, or this, or that, something like that, with a lot of texture and a lot of color. So I'm not too concerned about that, so we'll stick that up there. And we take our little piece here, we drop our lid in. So there's our jar. All right, now imagine this jar in this rustic kind of finish, if you know what I mean. Let's see what that's looking like on the screen over there. I haven't looked over there in a long time. I have to wait to see the delay. There's 20-second delay. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It was simple to make. Again, I got to finish the hollowing, you know, going all the way down inside there. But very usable. Again, I would like to have had it bigger, but I always would like to have had something else. It's just me. Go ask my wife who's in here. Right, Bridget? I always want something a little bit more different, better. But that's a lid fit that is quite usable, right? And it doesn't rattle off, doesn't fall away, and yet it's easy to take on and off. We like to make lids fit so tight and so perfect so that we can impress the wood turning club when we take it in. But if you want to use the piece, if you want to make it utilitarian and use it, you got to have a little bit of margin. Now this one actually has a little vacuum. I actually did a closer job than I wanted to. So I'm happy with that. I'm actually happy overall for considering what I was making, a jar, and just playing with what I had to work with today. And I can do texture. I can texture this, so I got a lot more things I could do to it. And when I color it, I could make the lid different than the body. I've got 1,000,001 options and variables that I could do here. I could make the lid all black. I could do 1,000,001 different things to this and have a fully functional jar. And that's made out of wood. Now it wouldn't be bad looking in natural finish because it is this ambrosia sycamore. I mean, it's not a bad piece of wood. But so that's a jar, a wooden jar. It was fun to make. I had a ball. It wasn't hard. It's not difficult stuff. Lots of areas where you can practice your cuts and your techniques. When will the magic dust be available? I knew that was coming. And the answer is I do not know. when the Magic Dust will be available. I will find out soon. I've been waiting for it for 9 months. So I think it should be available pretty soon. Keep an eye on Spirocraft. When it's available, you'll see it on, if you follow Spirocraft on Facebook and follow us on YouTube, and you can be sure that when it's available, there'll be an announcement that you can get it out of the store. Also, in the store, if any of you guys are into color, I'll just wind this up with a little pitch, shameless pitch on airbrushes. Dad was here. Okay, the Grex line of airbrushes that we carry, which is great stuff, super brushes, they're all 10% off, which Grex doesn't do very often. So everything in the Grex airbrushes and the combo kits and the accessories that we have listed, they're all 10% off. It's a factory promotion. Again, we're not allowed to discount the Grex product during the year. We cannot sell it for less than the manufacturer's listed price. So it's the only time you'll get a savings on it, and that's going on through the end of the month. And with that, it is now 2:38, it looks like. Everybody have a great, safe Memorial Day Monday. Thank everybody that you know that's been involved, and think about those that aren't with us anymore, who serve the country. Have a great day. I'm going to go take a break, get something cool to drink, and I think it might be time to do hot dogs and hamburgers here before too terribly long. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Next Monday, we'll be back. Saturday after that, biannual, we do the special like with the Grex I was talking about. But every Monday Methods is out here at 10 o'clock approximately, depending on what goes wrong. Thank you very much once again, and y'all have a good, safe weekend, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye now.